Good afternoon and welcome to Titan Talk. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. You have myself, Captain Coop, and I have the wonderful, as always, Mr. Roberts. So,
exhausted.
Exactly. We're both exhausted.
Yeah.
So today we wanted to talk a little bit about de-escalation and better communication in situations and scenarios, things to look out for, and how to address and things to take away from those times. When it comes to what we do, we've preached on this over and over and over again, communication. I've seen the movie a few times. It's called The Gentleman, and it's got a scene in there where there's a coach, and he's talking about the difference between adults and kids and what they use to fight battles. And what I think one of my favorite lines in that is adults fight with the gray. You know, you use your brain, you use your mind, and I absolutely love that. You know, what we do, our mind is so critical in de-escalation and dealing with people. We have to be able to think on our feet, and we have to be able to adjust to what our situation is and the surroundings, be able to keep track of all that. And so it's a fantastic thing to keep your gray matter up here in tip-top shape and being able to work around that stuff and use it. And I just always love that movie. For that particular line is one of my favorite lines, I think, out of a movie that I've had in a while, other than like something from Batman or something like that, you know, something that means something. And so it's pretty cool. But when you're talking de-escalation and you're talking communication, it's so important, and that's why we keep hitting on this stuff. It's one of the basic core values of security, of law enforcement, when it comes to first responders or anything like that, that we want to keep making sure that we give you guys as much information on this basic item so you can improve that skill and become better and better and better every time. So thanks for joining us. Glad to see everybody. Devin, good to see you in chat. Thank you. So understanding behavior is communication, some things to look out for. When you run into somebody in what we do for a living, you're going to run across, if someone's having a bad day or if somebody doesn't like what you've got to say, they're going to see the uniform first, and that's how they're going to communicate. They're going to communicate based off past reactions and past experiences. So you might not always find someone on their best day. And so they're going to be yelling and screaming, cussing at you, calling you names and stuff like that. You know, take what they're doing and look at the body language, look at what they're saying and how they're saying it, and take that in and use it as a point of this is how we start. You know, this is where they're starting at. I know they're upset about something. Well, let's bring them back down. Let's bring them to a reasonable area and talk to them like a human being. I always tell everybody, talk to someone the way you would expect to be talked to if a security or an officer was coming up to you. Mm-hmm. You know, don't ever go above and beyond where they are. If they're yelling and screaming, don't get louder than them. You know, nothing like that. Just try and bring them back down to a reasonable area.
I've said it before. It's really hard to be mad at somebody who's completely calm.
Yeah. Somebody who's happy, somebody who's got that good disposition on their face. It's really hard to stay angry at somebody like that. So, but, you know, take that stuff in. What matters with recognizing, that behavior is it allows you to better communicate. You know, when you see that someone's upset, or you see someone's frustrated, or they don't want to listen, or whatever the case may be in that, when you're nice and you're polite, it throws them for a loop because it disorientates them, and now they don't know what to do. And so they've got to think back to how they want to react to you now. They're angry and they're yelling, but you're calm and collect and trying to talk to them. And now they're thinking, do I need to yell? Can I not yell? Give them the time of day. What are you laughing at?
Disorientate is not a word.
Yeah, it is.
There's no way.
Disorientate.
Disorient?
No. Focus on him for now. I'm going to Google this.
I molded over in my head numerous times. There's no way disorientate is a word. The contrast that you'll see out in the field when you handle the exact same scenario but with a different outlook and a different approach is drastic. If you approach a situation or somebody who is emotionally distressed and you come at it calm, cool, and collected versus you coming at it just being a jerk and just trying to do the bare minimum of your job and get them off property, you'll see a drastic difference. It will not only keep you out of trouble, but it will keep your safety as well. You're not putting yourself in harm's way for frankly no reason. You can and should talk your way out of the situations more often than force your way out. Verbal judo is something that
I hate that word.
I love it. I think it's great.
Ha.
Why did it take you so long to find it?
Because I misspelled it.
Ah,
Hey, look, man, I'm not good at spelling. It is a word for those of you who didn't believe in me, which I wouldn't blame you.
verbal judo. I love.
I hate that term.
I love it. I love it. I think it is incredibly accurate. You are working your way through a problem, which is effectively what judo is. You're working your way through a problem. The problem is the opponent, but
Yeah.
you're working your way through your problem using verbal tactics.
Yeah.
Instead of using physical locks and force, you're using verbal tactics. I think it is incredibly accurate.
I completely get the understanding of that and the use of it. I just don't like it. I think there's a better way. Personally, I don't think I'd ever use. I used to use it, but I found better ways of using, instead of using verbal judo, use de-escalation or verbal tactics. I just don't like the way verbal judo sounds for me.
I suppose that's the way it was explained to me when I first started security with another company.
That's I knew a guy who I'd met him after a few years. He'd been with us for 5 or 6, and he told me verbal judo, and I used it for a while, and then I just got away from it.
It's what they teach you in college. In my criminal justice courses, they referred to it as verbal judo.
Really?
Yeah. So that is what it is. What is taught at the I guess scholarly level as well.
Never knew that.
Yeah, I had a couple of classes. One of them was with a anti-terrorist unit out of Turkey. He was one of my professors. Not very good at teaching, but a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and he
Use verbal judo.
he used verbal judo.
That's kind of cool. Like I said, it's not a term I continued using. I used it for a little bit, but I got away from using it just because I didn't like the way it sounded. Personally, like I said, I went to verbal tactics or to de-escalation and stuff like that. So it's just my own little overtime adjustment. But when you're keeping that stuff in, when you're listening to those key points and looking at somebody's body language, you have to be able to respond in kind and be able to take that stuff in and be self-aware of your situation, your surroundings, and what they're doing, and then how you're reacting to it. You have to be able to have that self-aware, making sure that your mood doesn't, if they're angry, you're not reflecting that mood back onto them and you're giving them the angry face and you're standing there brooding. And
it's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
It is
very easy to get drawn into that.
Somebody. I think body language, reading somebody's body language is another fundamental skill that should be put on the same level as situational awareness. Actually, it's probably part of situational awareness, but being able to read somebody's body language is applicable not just in security, but any field that you're working in where you have to talk to another human being.
Yeah.
If you want to have good relationships, you need to be able to read somebody's body language.
Absolutely. 100%. Body language, when you come across incidents or you come across de-escalation, when you have to do that type of stuff, it's not always going to be verbal. It's not always going to be something that you can hear. Sometimes it's going to be when someone's standing there, how are they standing? What pose are they in? What position are they doing? Those tactics, or when you see that stuff, is going to be a key point. Body language is a huge factor in how you read what somebody's planning on doing. We teach it downstairs in our training class, how to read body language and what to look for when they're going through our simulator. These are what are they doing? How are they stanced? How are they talking? Listen to those key factors, because that's going to help you determine what's going to happen next. Because when you're looking at that stuff, we're 2 or 3 steps behind. Someone's already either made up their mind or they're closer to making up their mind, and we have no idea what they're thinking. And so watching their body language, listen to how they talk, that gives you a key look into how they're thinking and what they're doing and where they're thinking their next step is. So keeping an eye on that, does nothing but help you, and it makes it better. So being able to identify body language and what it means and how to use it and how to disarm somebody when they've got body language that is becoming aggressive with de-escalation tactics and that stuff is great. It's a perfect skill to have. It's not easy to master. I've been doing this 12 years and I don't think I've come close to mastering it.
Nope.
I've got myself a pretty good library, but at the same time I'm still learning, but keeping an eye on that and having self-awareness to know that I keep myself in check when someone's being aggressive towards me and I'm not giving them the same in return is a huge part of that as well. So having that self-awareness for that.
If you don't match them, they'll start to match you.
Mm-hmm. But something else to remember when you're de-escalating is slowing down. So when you're listening to them, avoid assumptions. Don't assume anything. Let them give you their side. You take that information and work from there. You know, that's the whole point of that, is to give them that outlet so they can calm down. They can get their side out, and you can walk them back from being angry to maybe being more reasonable and more manageable. Now you can talk to them. They'll talk normal to you now because you've given them that outlet. So, but avoid assumptions while you're talking to them. You know, oh, well, he had to have done that, or ignore all of that. Don't let that side of your brain take over. Keep it to where you're just listening, you're just taking in their information, and you're just trying to get them back to a reasonable level.
Yeah, slowing down a situation, any kind of situation. It doesn't even have to be security. Slowing down your environment, giving yourself time to think will result in benefits that you didn't even realize. You'll catch something that you didn't. Being able to slow down. I mean, when I'm creating a schedule, I'll slow down and start thinking, and I'll catch my mistakes. I'll go back through and I'll rethink things over. Giving yourself time to think, to mull it over, will catch mistakes or catch mistakes that are about to happen.
Catch something before it happens.
Yeah.
You know, slowing yourself down where you can sit there and go, okay. Something one of my majors have told me when we're going through use of force, or we're going through investigations, is form a timeline. And so now when I go through that stuff, I try to form a timeline. I pull up a Word document or a piece of paper next to me, and I go, okay, this is when I was notified, this is when this was done, this is when this was done, and it allows me to slow that down to a step-by-step process, and then I can eliminate where I might have made a mistake or where I might have missed something and go, oh, okay, well, I didn't ask this, or this needs to be asked here. It allows you time to be able to consider what's going on around you and be able to step your way through that process and get all of the information, make sure you're in the right spot. And that can be done to de-escalate somebody. You know, form a timeline in your head, or if you got your notepad on you, which hopefully if you're in this industry, you always have a notepad and a pen on you, and go timeline, step by step. You know, this is when this happened. This is when I talked to this person. This is the important bits of what they told me. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, well, I need to go back and do this, or I need to notify this person, or I need to make sure that this is done. And it allows you to be able to get to all the key points and bring that. And you can go, okay, from your account, from our talking, this is what you've told me. Does that sound right? And yeah, and that alone will bring them down as well. Because now they know you're listening because you're taking their side down.
I'm going to take that. I used to do that when I was an officer. Before I wrote my report, I would create a timeline with, PD arrival, EMS arrival, when they took the patient, when PD left, when they were called. I stopped doing that, and I think that'll help me quite a bit when I'm getting a call at 1 a.m. in the morning and I'm not thinking clearly, and I make a judgment call that I frankly didn't have to make. Creating a timeline on paper, I think it'll help me catch some of those errors that I make when I'm middle of the night tired.
Absolutely. But and that's where doing stuff like that is that's your saving grace, I would say. That allows you to slow things down and process what's going on and keep account of everything. And it's super important because it brings everybody down to a reasonable level. It brings if you've amped yourself up a little bit to try and calm this individual down, well, it's process time for you to slow down, bring yourself down. Well, like I said, now they hear you, they know you're listening. Now they're going to calm down. And most likely,
fingers crossed. Yeah,
because now they know for a fact you're listening. They know that you're taking you're trying to get their side of it. But never be afraid to remember that sometimes you have to breathe, sometimes you have to take a step back, and sometimes you have to evaluate what's going on and make sure that you are doing everything correctly and you have those steps in and you're taking everything into account. When you're in those moments, or if you're not sure, the biggest thing to remember is to call a supervisor. We'll help you through that stuff. And if it means we got to come out and do it, we'll come out and help. But keep that in mind. That's a resource that you have as well, as you can call and say, hey, you know what? Let me call my supervisor out here. Let me have them come in and help out. They're a fantastic resource, and they'll be absolutely able to get some more information and help us out a little bit more. Yeah. Make that call.
Or follow up with the supervisor.
Yeah.
If you call a supervisor and they give you some feedback, or they send someone out there, and something else happens or doesn't quite fit anymore, or the process isn't working quite right, call again. That's what they're there for.
Absolutely.
Call again.
Absolutely. The big thing to remember with de-escalation, it starts with, when we talk about de-escalation and communication, the big thing, it starts with understanding, it starts with flexibility, it starts with the ability to have some emotional intelligence about what's going on and how you're reacting and they're reacting, and it's trying to take everything into account and bring everybody down, get everybody at the same spot so we're all working from square one, we're all working from that same level. You run into issues when everybody's on a different path or in a different spot on the book. You want to bring everybody to the same page and say, hey, we're all going to read from here because this is how we start. This is where we find our solution, And so de-escalation is key to that when you're in those situations or you're in you're in any kind of thing like that. Any situation, any de-escalation is always helpful because it's the attempt to bring everybody to the same page in the book and get everybody on the same spot and starting from that point and working forward to a better solution, rather than screaming at each other and yelling, and all that does is cause disruption and it doesn't help anybody. So keeping that in mind and knowing that you can work your way backwards with that stuff is absolutely key to those points and key to those times that you need that stuff. So keep that stuff in mind. If you guys are Titan officers and you guys want some additional advice on de-escalation or stuff, reach out to your supervisors, let us know. We'll be happy to walk you through some stuff on our side. If you guys work for another company, and you listen to the podcast, thank you. We appreciate you that you're here. But always work on improving yourself. And in these key points, these small little things where these core values of what makes us who we are when it comes to security officers and stuff like that, take those and run with them, learn them, and do the best you can with them, because those will make you a better officer. But they'll also help you in your personal life. And we've said that over and over and over again. These things that we do in this industry don't just help you professionally, they help you personally, because it will bring peace of mind to you when you're in your personal life. There are things that de-escalation has helped me with personally that has made my life better. It's allowed me to account for things and how I do things at the house and how I manage my time and things like that. And if I wouldn't have learned some of these lessons at work, I never would have been able to apply them for personal life. And so it's absolutely made me a better person, which makes me a better officer and a better supervisor, I hope. But so keep those things in mind when you're using those tools, is you want to apply them to personal and professional life, because they'll do nothing but make you better. So other than that, I don't have anything else.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. I'm going to cut it a little short today. I'm not going to do the weather. We've got some stuff we've got to go handle. I do want to say I appreciate everybody stopping by. For those of you watching this after the fact, thank you so much. If you guys have anything that you have any questions, comments, throw them in the comment section. We'll read them. We try to get back to everybody and address those as we can. If you guys have any ideas for de-escalation tactics that you might want to pass on, throw them in the chat. If we find a good one, we might talk about it on a podcast coming up in the future. You never know. But we thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks. So we got that to look forward to. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.